Question number 6 has been withdrawn. Question number 7, Pauline McNeill.
To ask the Scottish Government what discussions it's had with Glasgow City Council and representatives of the taxi trade in light of reports of potentially significant job losses in the sector as a result of the implementation of the low emission zone.
Cabinet Secretary Fiona Hislop.
Scottish Government officials have met frequently with both Glasgow City Council officials and representatives of the taxi trade to discuss the rates of taxi low emission zone compliance. Glasgow City Council are responsible for administration and enforcement of their LEZ and may grant local time-limited exemptions where appropriate. From June 2023, a 12-month extension was offered to any Glasgow taxi operators with non-compliant vehicles, and Glasgow City Council have recently announced they will offer a further extension to the exemption for some taxis beyond June 2024, where taxi operators can demonstrate a commitment to retrofit or purchase compliant replacement vehicles.
Pauline McNeill.
Thank you. In answer to a question from Annie Wells last week, the Cabinet Secretary said, unlike major cities in Scotland, Glasgow City Council does not have an age limit on taxis, so there's a higher proportion of older taxis. But what I'd like to raise with the Cabinet Secretary is that in a recent meeting of taxi drivers in the city, as older workers with older vehicles, they are unable to finance a new vehicle and ineligible for a grant for Glasgow City Council. There are actually hundreds of older drivers in this situation, so the City Council have offered them no options at all, and they're going to be forced out of business, as you're talking about up to 300 licences. So I wonder if the Cabinet Secretary would agree with me that it's unfair to older drivers who do not have an option, and they're very experienced drivers, not only a loss to the city, but indirectly perhaps it might be considered as discrimination against older drivers if a further exemption is not granted.
Cabinet Secretary.
So I think the member is correct to look at the different experiences in different cities. For Dundee, for example, the taxi compliance is already 90%, Aberdeen 75%, but Glasgow, that has been running longer, is down at 63%. In terms of the finances that are available, we have recently announced further retrofitting funding that's available for those that want to apply. It's not necessary to purchase a new cab to meet those entry standards. The retrofitting costs after grant are typically £2,500 to £4,000, or alternatively purchase of a second-hand Euro 6 taxi that is up to 8 years old and can still meet LEZ standards. She raises an important point, but obviously somebody facing retirement may want to sell on their taxi, and clearly one that has been retrofitted will have more of a value than one that hasn't been. So I think there's something there, particularly with lenders, to look very sensitively, as well as the government-supported retrofitting fund.